Hello, good morning, happy Friday. Thank you so much for joining me for another Saints and Angels Oracle deck reading for our week to come. It's the final Friday here in February, the 28th, and the final day of February as well. So in this 9-year here, we've got a lot of finality coming through on our last reading under the theme of the Five of Cups reversed. And so, things might be kind of coming to these ends that are a little unexpected or could feel unwanted or a little bit like, spilled milk. But let's not cry over it. Let's not waste time, energy, precious attention on things that have already happened, that were cut and dry, that it's time to let go of or move on from, that have spilled over or seeping away. Let's remember what's left over. First and foremost, take a moment to assess and remember what's behind you, like that card, the image from Tarot represents so well, is that those full cups too are still behind the back. And also, we have that great depiction in my Aquarian deck where the birds are taking flight over the field, but the person's face is downwards. So let's try to keep remembering as we have this last stretch here of the week with this theme sort of moving into March, to lift our heads, to remember to watch the birds fly, that spring is literally approaching. We've already made it through the darkest times. Let's not cry over things that didn't come to fruition or didn't work out as well, or maybe just weren't good matches and alignments. Breathe through and let go. Everything's supposed to change and move, and we should be honoring that. And by moving with it, adjusting, making our own comfortable adjustments, tailor-fitting our life's experience for ourselves through those circumstances, those moments, those catalytic things, the times that they fall and spill in front of you, to be able to alchemize those moments, breathe through them, to recognize the importance and what you did wrong and what you did right, and what was wrong about other things. It's a co-creative efforts as well. So it's accountability is also huge, and it's also good to just accept how it happened and who was involved, or if anyone was, or if it was something you tripped over, on the floor. Let those things be responsible for the part that they played in the whole scenario, and attempt to see it for what it is completely, and let it go and say, okay, well, what do we do now? What's the best way to move forward? How do we pick up all what we have left over? And then crucially here, especially at the end where we're at this last transitioning through into March before we get our new theme next week, learning lessons. What did we learn from these events? And when we are approached with these similar circumstances next time, how can we remember, stand in our sovereign discernment in the moment, and when we're presented with the actions or circumstances, and respond differently, or pay attention more, so to speak, if when we're walking, if it was a trip over or something, to be more conscientious and aware. Conscious awareness I like to use as this kind of term. Spending our last week here looking over those kind of things, reflecting on what we learned all month. And I don't know about you, but it was certainly, for me, it has been Five of Cups reversed, sort of in so many different ways. And yeah, it's been a great learning too. And I have my pre-spring detox sickness run through my home and me, and I'm just starting to really feel a lot better now, but still a little symptomatic. So it's so great to know spring is in the air, and there is a light at the end of the tunnel, the silver lining kind of thing. And that's what really helps, especially when we're going through these kind of things where presented with uncomfortabilities, how you choose to respond and sit with that, how you move through, however long it is, that's what really speaks to your skill. And my own, that's me speaking to myself too. I say this to myself, how would I want to be witnessed? If I am in a 360 degree light and audience-ship with a great observer, with source, with infinite intelligence and a co-creation too of this external infinite intelligence around me, being observed in many different ways, and you know, languages, so to speak, in the layers. How do I want my presence to be felt? How do I want others to come upon me and interact? I really have to take a step back and own ownership to how I'm operating and feeling. And am I really allowing other things around me to come in and to change my internal landscape? And then I'm trying to meet that to other things around me or something, you know? Or am I really going inwards and seeing and accepting what is there, and then saying, like, after the cups, like, what's the best thing forward? What do we do now? What's good for everybody, that we can make the best of what we've got now? So yeah, with that little preamble and current events, I guess let's get ready to do a bit of grounding and centering so we can become a good audience and hear and pull a card for this week to come in our final salute to February, and as we move into this first week of March, transitory here. It's I'm really excited to see what the cards are going to have for us here. So if you are not, please feel free to get comfortable in a seat, and I'm going to close my eyes and lead us on a little meditation, a little grounding session. And yeah, feel free to follow along. You don't have to close your eyes. If that's not your thing, that's okay. But I'm going to close mine. So feel free. And whatever you are, wherever you are, take a few conscious, slow breaths. Breathing into the now and gently relaxing down the eyes, detaching from the current moment, from everything that's led up to this moment even. Shaking things off, kicking the dust from your boots, hitting that pause button. The lunch bell rings. Maybe take a sigh of relief. With some nice noise. It's always nice to hear your own voice aloud. Like I mentioned before, even to have that co-creative, infinite intelligence around you, hear that vibratory sound, release and relief. It's beautiful, cymatic resonance. A grateful, relaxing sigh has such a peaceful contagion attached to it. Dare I use that word in that way? But we radiate out energy and others catch it. They're affected by it. They're impacted. They take it into them and it changes their own inner systems. There's responses, symptomatically expressions of that energy exchange. We do this all day long, all around us and within us, each one of us in our own unique ways, and yet we all do it the same. So much like breathing. What a great guidance. And a gateway. Breathing is a gateway exercise. It's a gateway drug. It leads to so many others, so many ways to get high on your own supply. To love being alive. To feel infinite. And expanding, invigorated, adventurous, courageous. The breath can remind us how to be free. Imagine the wind, the molecules, the air, how it rides in you with energy and motion, hitting the nasal passage, riding down through the infinite universe of you, the esophagus, the respiratory system, The lungs are hit with a breeze, a breath of fresh air, riding in nutrients, newness, expansion, new materials to do new work. It opens up new places, new spaces, bringing enlightening information in with it, down through the lungs into the diaphragm, even to the deepest cavernous spaces of you, the universe within you. Take a moment to breathe deeply into all those cracks and crevices. Take your time with your breath. Let it ride in at a pace that feels great. Let it change in any way that it needs to. Maybe from becoming shallow to deep or deep to shallow. Quick to long. Or maybe you started off long and now it's evened out. Let the breath show you the way. Hear it speak what it needs. Really quieting down the mind. Letting the body and breath lead the way. Feeling that peace, that subtle ease that you find yourself being led to by the breath. Yes, distractions can pop up, things happening around, within, and that's okay. Because the breath shows the way, how we can always still maintain that gentle calmness, find the leading hand to guide the way. That is the breath. And you can always sort of take that hand and grasp it firmly and let the breath so consciously and physically really show you your way and ground you in your moment. In your conscious space, in your own place of mind, finding peace of mind amidst any kind of chaos or turmoil or changes and shifts, disruptions, dis-ease, unhappiness, negativity. The breath asks us to remember and recall the exhale, the letting go of that which no longer serves, the breath away, the pushing outward and letting go. We started with a grateful sigh of relief, and this is a mirrored grateful sigh of relief. Except it's an empowering one, a breath that focuses on the exhale instead of the inhale, and lets us let go and settle in, drop in, like sitting into a seat with a puff of air. The cloud of dust settles around. we can let go and tap in to the now and sit down in ourself again, in our sovereignty, in our level-headedness, in conscious awareness and who we are, just by doing that, remembering that breath. And as we do that, we remember where we are seated in the here and now. Today we've gathered for the video to sit and hear and listen to a beautiful message from our cards. So let's take a moment to give yourself whatever kind of breath you need to settle down and to prepare to open your eyes as I get ready to ring my bell here. And we will prepare to hear from the cards. Give it a bit of an awakening. Whoops. A little blocky. I think take it down for a minute. And I feel like I'm not going to cut today, I think. Steady progress with Saint Therese. I love this card. I love Saint Therese. Her messages are so beautiful. And just the energy of her, the naivety and the connectivity that she brings forth with the innocence of just doing the little things in your own way. Because perhaps sometimes the bigger things are daunting, and perhaps we feel like the traditional sense or all of the expectations are too much for us, you know, and we want to shy away from them. We feel a little too encumbered by them, you know, which tend to be the case, I feel, with her energy, and what she was called forth to bring forth, her lessons of teaching, right? Steady progress. You've been making steady progress, and it's important for you to recognize that this progress, not perfection, is what is important. This is a message for you to appreciate how much you've already achieved and how many people you've helped along the way. Keep your focus away from any lapses that you think you've made. Guilt and regrets never helped anyone, so let them go today. How perfect with that breath to let go as well that came through. You're also asked to forgive yourself for what you think you've done or not done. Saint Therese didn't live a life of spiritual perfection. She often fell asleep or was distracted during her prayers, for example. Yet she insisted that it's the little way of steady progression that connects us with God and heaven. She wrote, "Learn and grow from your challenges, and don't let them stop you from your devotion or spiritual path." That is just such a beautiful message. It's such a wonderful one to tie into here for this week, for our final day, final Friday, and for sort of the transitional energy that we're pulling into for March. A great reminder of how much we've really done, and to give yourself time to give, to reflect on that. Give yourself a pat on the back. And I find when I do that too, it really cements in the honoring the small little kind of hygienic routines and practices, and the little kind of thumbs up things I give myself every day during the day for doing, and to really help keep my energy flowing and my good alchemy happening, and a balanced system within my toroidal and my systems, right? To do good inner work for my self system and to serve it in a nice way like that, of course, keeps me empowered in serving others, So be sure to reflect on your own cup. Be sure to notice that, of course, it's wonderful what's overflowing to give to others, but it's also important to keep it half full yourself at least. So make sure all those steady little input is happening for yourself, and to recognize it. So yeah, thanks for joining me this Friday. I hope you have a beautiful weekend wherever in the world you are. Have a wonderful rest of your day or evening, and I'm sure I'll see you next Friday.